My name is Ethan, 36, and my wife, Laura, 34, and I have been married for 8 years. If you had asked me a month ago, I would have told you we had a solid marriage. Not perfect, but strong. We had a good life together. Decent jobs, a nice home, and what I thought was real love. Then my father passed away. It was sudden. A heart attack. One minute he was here and the next he was gone. Losing him broke me. He was my role model, my anchor in life. The funeral was across the country in my hometown, and Laura said she couldn't come because of work. I didn't question it. I was too deep in grief to notice how eager she seemed to stay behind. I spent 3 days surrounded by my mourning family, barely functioning, just trying to hold myself together. And through all of it, Laura sent sweet, comforting messages. I love you so much. I wish I could be there with you. You're my world, Ethan. Her words were the only thing keeping me sane. I thought, at least I have her. I was so wrong. I came home exhausted. The funeral had drained every bit of energy I had. I walked through the door, expecting Laura to be there waiting for me. Maybe with a hug, maybe with some comforting words. Instead, she was nowhere to be found. The house was too clean. No dishes in the sink, no laundry in the basket, no sign that she had actually been home. I checked my phone, no messages from her. That was weird. Laura always made a big deal about missing me when I traveled. Yet now that I was back after burying my father, she was just gone? Then, just as I was about to call her, the front door opened. Laura walked in, smiling, holding a bag from our favorite Italian restaurant. "Hey, babe," she said cheerfully. "I picked up dinner. I figured you'd be too tired to cook." She came over and kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't completely ignored my arrival. Something in my gut twisted. "Where were you?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay calm. She hesitated. For just a second. "Oh, I was out running errands. Grocery shopping, picking up dry cleaning, you know." Her hair was too perfect. Her makeup was still fresh. She didn't look like someone who had been doing chores all day. She looked like someone who had been out with someone. I wanted to ignore it. I wanted to tell myself I was just being paranoid, that I was overthinking things because of my grief. But then, later that night, when she was in the shower, I saw her phone light up. One new message, from a name I never expected. Jason, her ex. And the message, "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it." I felt my heart stop. I stared at her phone, my hands gripping it so tightly I thought I might break it. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it." Jason, her ex. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. My father's funeral had just taken place, and while I was grieving, while I was standing over his casket saying goodbye, Laura had been with him. 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind, but one thing stood out the most. She looked me in the eye earlier, kissed me, acted like nothing had happened. I knew I had to stay calm. If I confronted her now, she'd just lie. I needed proof. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I unlocked her phone. It was risky. Laura was the type to freak out about privacy, even though she never had an issue checking mine. But this wasn't paranoia. This was different. I opened the messages. What I found made my stomach turn. "Jason, you looked so beautiful last night. I missed being with you like that." Laura, "Me too. Felt, right, like old times. I needed that." Jason, "When can I see you again?" Laura, "Soon. I just have to play it cool with Ethan." I nearly threw up. Play it cool? She was talking about me like I was some clueless fool who had no idea what was going on. And the worst part? She had planned this. I kept scrolling, my hands shaking, reading back through days of messages. It wasn't just a one-time thing. They had been seeing each other the entire time I was gone. While I was burying my father, she was in another man's arms. I heard the shower turn off. I quickly put her phone back, walked to the living room, and sat down. Heart pounding, hands clenched. Because now I was going to confront her. I sat on the couch, my heart pounding. I could hear Laura in the bathroom, humming to herself, completely unaware that I knew everything, that I had read every disgusting message between her and Jason. My hands clenched into fists. I had just spent 3 days grieving my father. She had spent those same days sneaking around with her ex. The shower turned off. Footsteps padded down the hall. Then, she walked in smiling, dressed in an oversized t-shirt, towel drying her hair, looking like the same woman I had loved for years. But I knew better now. "Hey babe," she said sweetly. "Why do you look so serious?"
Esther here.
"Did you see Jason while I was gone?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. She blinked. I saw the slight shift in her expression. Surprise, followed by instant denial. "What?" She let out a small, nervous laugh. "Jason? No. Why would I? Are you sure?" I pressed. "Because I could have sworn I saw a message from him just now." Her smile froze. "Ethan," she said slowly, setting down her towel. "Did you go through my phone?" There it was. She was deflecting, turning it back on me, avoiding the question. I leaned forward, my voice dangerously calm. "I did. And you know what I found?" Silence. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I saw it in her face. She was scrambling for an excuse. "It's not what you think," she blurted out. I laughed. "Oh really?" I pulled out my own phone and read her messages aloud. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it. I just have to play it cool with Ethan." Her face drained of color. "Ethan, please let me explain." "Explain what, Laura?" My voice was sharp now. "That while I was burying my father, you were sleeping with your ex. That you planned this." She flinched. She knew there was no way out. And for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Laura froze. I could almost see the gears in her head turning, desperately trying to figure out a way to get out of this. "Ethan, you're overreacting," she finally said, forcing a weak laugh. "It wasn't like that." I stared at her, completely speechless. "Oh," I leaned back. "So tell me, Laura, what exactly was it like?" She swallowed hard. "It was just, I was feeling really lonely while you were gone. I didn't plan for anything to happen. It just did. There it was. The classic excuse. It just happened. Like she had tripped and fallen into her ex's bed. "You didn't plan it?" I repeated, pulling out my phone. "So what's this, then?" I scrolled to one of her messages and read it out loud. "I missed being with you like that. Felt, right, like old times. I needed that." Her face twisted. "Ethan, that's not fair." "Not fair? Oh, I'm sorry, is this hard for you?" I scoffed. "You were sneaking around behind my back, sleeping with Jason while I was at my father's funeral. And you have the nerve to tell me it's not fair?" Her expression shifted. The fake regret in her eyes disappeared, replaced by something colder. "Okay, fine." She crossed her arms. "Yes, I slept with Jason. But maybe if you weren't always so busy, I wouldn't have felt the need to." I actually laughed. "Oh, so now it's my fault?" I shook my head. "You are unbelievable." "Well, what do you want me to say, Ethan?" she snapped. "I messed up. Are you really going to throw away our marriage over one mistake?" I went completely still. "One mistake," I repeated, my voice dangerously quiet. She looked at me, silent. Because we both knew. This wasn't just one mistake. This was who she was. And for the first time in our entire marriage, I realized something. I didn't love her anymore. Laura stared at me, arms crossed, waiting for me to move on like this was just a minor argument. Like she hadn't just shattered everything we built together. Like she hadn't betrayed me in the worst possible way. "You don't love me, do you?" I said suddenly. She blinked. "What? If you did, you wouldn't have done this." My voice was calm, steady, colder than I'd ever been toward her. For the first time, I saw real panic flicker across her face. "Ethan, come on," she said, reaching for my hand. "Of course I love you." I pulled away. "No, you don't." She flinched. "It was just a mistake." She tried again, her voice softer now, almost pleading. "I was feeling lost without you. I needed comfort. But I swear, it didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything." That was the moment I realized she wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. I exhaled slowly and stood up. I'm done, Laura. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? I'm done. I met her gaze, feeling lighter than I had in days. We're over. She laughed. Actually laughed. You're not serious. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned and walked toward our bedroom. Ethan, stop. We can fix this, she called after me. But I wasn't listening anymore, because I already knew there was nothing left to fix. I walked into our bedroom, grabbed a suitcase and started packing. Behind me, I could hear Laura's footsteps rushing in. Ethan, stop, she said, her voice rising. You're not actually leaving. I didn't even look at her. Where am I supposed to go? She demanded, her tone shifting from shock to anger. I let out a cold laugh. Oh, I don't know, Laura, I said, zipping up my suitcase. Maybe Jason's place? You two seemed close. Her face twisted. You're being cruel. I turned and stared at her. Cruel, I repeated. Cruel was sleeping with your ex while I was burying my father. She had the nerve to roll her eyes. So what, you're just giving up on us? She snapped. One mistake, and you're ready to throw everything away? I let out a breath, trying to keep my rage in check. Laura, do you even hear yourself? I asked. You didn't just cheat. You planned this. You lied. You had an entire affair while pretending to be my loving wife. And now you expect me to just, what? Move past it. She crossed her arms. People work through things like this all the time. I zipped up my suitcase and grabbed my phone. Good for them, I said. But I'm not one of them. And then, right when she realized I wasn't backing down, she played her final card. She sat down on the bed, dropped her face into her hands, and started crying. Big, dramatic sobs. Ethan, please, she choked out. I love you. I don't want to lose you. I stood there watching her, feeling nothing, because I finally understood. Laura wasn't crying because she lost me. She was crying because she lost control. And that was the moment I knew I was truly done. Laura sat on the bed, sobbing into her hands, as if her tears could somehow undo what she had done. But I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel guilt. I felt free. She looked up at me, her eyes red and desperate. Ethan, we can fix this. Please, don't throw everything away. I shook my head. You already did. Her expression twisted. The sadness in her eyes quickly turned into frustration. So that's it? She snapped. You're just going to walk away? I already did, I said simply, grabbing my suitcase. She let out a bitter laugh. Fine, go then. But don't expect me to sit around crying over you forever. I raised an eyebrow. Laura, you were just crying over me 30 seconds ago. She glared at me, completely exposed. It was never about love. It was about control, about winning. But she had already lost. I walked to the door. She didn't follow me. I turned one last time and met her gaze. You'll regret this, she said bitterly. I smiled.
No, Laura.
You will. And then, I walked out. For good. I walked out of that house and I never looked back. The moment I stepped outside, a strange feeling hit me. Not sadness, not regret, relief. For the first time in years, I wasn't trapped in her lies. I drove to my brother's house, where he had already set up a spare room for me. When I walked in, he didn't ask any questions. He just nodded and said, Good, you did the right thing. Laura's pathetic attempts. For the first few days, Laura tried everything. First, the apologies. Laura, I miss you. Can we just talk? Laura, please don't throw away what we had. Laura, I made a mistake, but I still love you. Then the guilt trips. Laura, I can't believe you're just abandoning me like this. Laura, we took vows, Ethan. You're supposed to fight for us. Laura, your dad would want you to forgive me. That one made me furious. I didn't reply, not once. Then came the anger. Laura, you're pathetic, running away like a coward. Laura, go ahead and leave. You'll never find someone like me again. And finally, silence. I guess she finally realized I wasn't coming back. What happened to her? A few weeks later, I heard through mutual friends that Jason dumped her. Apparently, he never wanted anything serious. She was just a fun distraction for him. The moment she became his problem full-time, he lost interest. She lost everything. And honestly, she deserved it. Weeks passed, then months. And you know what? I never missed her. Not once. I focused on myself. Healing, rebuilding, reconnecting with family and friends. I started hitting the gym, going on road trips, actually living my life without someone constantly trying to manipulate me. And Laura? She was miserable. After Jason dumped her, she tried to crawl back to me. She sent me an email, a long, dramatic message about how she had made a mistake, how she was lost without me, and how we belonged together. I didn't even read the whole thing. I just deleted it. Final thoughts. If I learned anything from this, it's this. If something feels off, trust your gut. Cheaters never change. They only regret getting caught. Walking away is the best revenge. Laura thought I'd never leave. She thought she could cheat, lie, and manipulate her way out of it. She was wrong. And now, she's the one stuck in the past, while I've never been happier. To anyone reading this, if you ever find yourself in my shoes, don't waste your time trying to fix someone who never cared about you in the first place. Just walk away, and never ever look back. Thank you for staying with me. This crazy journey is finally over and I'm ready for what's next. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more interesting stories. And leave a comment with what you would do in this situation. See you in the next videos.